So you hear about people having issues with food, like dietary sensitivities, allergies, that sort of thing. And I'm wondering, I mean, is that real, or again, is that just imaginary vibrational
Well, nothing
stuff?
is imaginary. Everything that happens is real, but it's based upon beliefs that you hold. For example, Esther has decided that her knees don't like sugar very much. So when she eats sugar, like on the cruise ship, let's have some dessert for lunch and some dessert for dinner, and then let's go get gelato while we're in Rome. And then her knees don't feel as flexible as they did before. So she's making the association between that. Well, it doesn't matter how real that is. As she makes that association, her knees feel better when she doesn't eat sugar. So here's what we're saying to you. If you believe something, the worst thing you can do is to do something in opposition to your belief, because you're going to get the result that you expect. Expectation is a really powerful thing. So we are not wanting to say to Esther that there's a direct relationship between that and that, because we think she should eat some sugar. Sugar tastes really good. Sugar is a wonderful thing. But we also don't think that she should eat sugar until she's ready to know that. You see what we're getting at? So it's not that there's this absolute state of sugar and knees, because a lot of people eat a lot of sugar and their knees don't hurt. But you have to find the balance for you. So there's no right or wrong. It's about you finding the balance for you.
So essentially, if I get rid of the resistance, because I did kind of experiment with different diets, like getting myself off of wheat. And
the thing about that is, and sometimes you'll be inspired to something like that and it's helpful. Like Esther was inspired to something like that, and it's been helpful. But here's the thing that we would really like to say about that. When you have a situation that is unpleasing, and then instead of getting out ahead of it vibrationally and, as you say, release the resistance and come into alignment and then let things unfold from a vibrational alignment basis, if instead you jump right into action, now you're trying to use action to compensate for something that's squirrely in your vibration. And that's what we're explaining to Esther about this sugar thing, is that by taking the action, she's not actually figuring out what's going on in the vibration. And what's going on in the vibration could be something like feeling like she's got too much to do, or not feeling like she can get as much done in a day as she needs to, and feeling like she needs to move faster than she really can move. There could be a lot of reasons for a ripple or a wobble in her vibration that she's not dealing with when she's taking the action in order to solve the problem. And we are not suggesting that you may not be inspired to something like that. We're just saying, let yourself connect with what's going on vibrationally and then follow the inspired action. And there's a difference between inspired action, which always feels like something you want to do, and motivated action, which is, I need to do this in order to. We want to put a strong punctuation on this subject, because so many people are quick to jump into action to try to fix things before they've done anything about solving the vibrational, which makes it squirt out in another way and squirt out in another way and squirt out in another way. The resistance will just continue to show itself to you. So what do? You just do your best to talk the resistance down and talk the alignment up, just whenever you get an opportunity. And you look for improvement. One of the games that we played with someone one day who was in quite a bit of physical pain, we said, all right, let's just sit here and breathe together. And then we said, after a few seconds, now, is your pain a little better or a little worse, or is it the same? Done this several times with people. Is it a little better, or is it a little worse, or is it the same? And it's about the same is where responses usually come. But as you get into it and breathe a little more and talking about the breathing, and now, is it a little better, or is it a little worse, or is it about the same? Well, I think it's a little better. I can't really be sure. I think it's a little better. And then, is it a little better, is it a little worse, or is it about the same? And as you're wanting it to be a little better and distracted with breathing rather than actually focusing upon it, sometimes you can actually feel yourself move from more pain to less pain, from some pain to no pain, just by using the power of your focus to acknowledge it. Esther was astonished one day years ago when they moved from Arizona to Texas, and she had to take a new driving test, and they required that she look into the contraption to check her vision. And when she looked in, she said to the lady, "This is broken," because it'd been years since she'd looked into one of those things. Her good driving record, they just kept sending her a new license, and so she didn't require looking into one until she'd moved to a new state. And the woman said to her, "You're probably going to need to go have your eyes examined and get some glasses and then come back." And Esther thought, that is a lot of trouble. So she said, "Abraham, can you read this?" So we tipped her head down and tipped her head up and read it easily. And Esther thought how interesting that was, because it's the same eyes, and it was the same objects at the end of this lens. And Abraham, in the absence of resistance, because Esther's expectation is that Abraham can see things that she can't see, and so she could see. And that really made Esther think about how many things that she is denying herself, that if she would just relax and accept the fullness of who she really is, can give her whatever it is she's asking for. You see what we're getting at? It's all about perspective, isn't it? And beliefs are about perspectives, and desires are about perspectives. It's just about massaging it. This is what creation is. Instead of molding clay, you're molding energy. And the way you mold it is through thought and emotion, through thought and emotion, through thought and emotion.
So I have one other question, and that is, I have a very challenging relationship with
Now, it's not a surprise, is it? It's not a surprise. A challenging relationship. So you did the opposite of what we just encouraged you to do. It's all right, we get it, because we look really smart and this seems like a good opportunity to have a conversation about it. But anything that you're having a challenge with, as you turn your attention to it, you're doing the opposite of what you're wanting to do in order to relieve your body of pain. That's why when you say to people, you're accurate. You're a pain in my knee. You are a pain in my knee, because I'm associating this pain with.
Well, this is my mother. I can't exactly cut her out of my life. She's the only mother I ever have, or ever will have in this life. So
But like the market that we were talking about, you can see through the lens of your own eyes the mother that your inner being sees. Inner being, can you see my mother? Yes, and she's lovely. She's lovely. And she means well, and she loves you, and she's out of whack, and she's in a state of resistance. Yes, but what a lovely mother who gave you an avenue into this time-space reality. Now, we know it's a little hard to go cold turkey like that and just feel good about someone that you have momentum about. And we know it never feels good for us or anyone to say to you, your problem with your mother can be solved by you, with your mother doing nothing to change, because it's unlikely that she's going to do anything to change. And so in order for that pain to go away, you've got to find some other way of looking at it, because most people live really conditionally. Most people say, you know, when I look over there at that lovely person, I feel so good. And when I look over there at that really not lovely person who's after me and nagging at me and needing me to change and all of those things, then I don't feel so good. And so if you would be more like that, if this condition you would be more like that condition someone else, then I could have a better reaction to the condition. And so I'm giving you the power to change so that I can feel better. And they don't ever change, which just makes you feel worse and worse about them. But really, your freedom and your true joy is in not needing any condition to change. It's what unconditional love is. It's what your inner being does. Your inner being looks, but sees something that allows continued alignment. So let's say you're in a really good mood and you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And then the thought of your mother, or the actuality of your mother, comes into your experience, and you look at it and remember, and you just empathize, and you get right into that vibration. And then you feel terrible and you think it's because of your mother. But it's not because of your mother, it's because you empathized, you joined that vibration instead of staying there where your inner being did. And so now here's the thing we really want you to hear, all of you. This is so good. If your inner being would join you in criticism of your mother, then there would be no separation between you and your inner being, and you would not feel bad. But your inner being will not join you in your criticism of your mother. So when you go there, you separate yourself from your inner being. That's too strong a word. You don't separate yourself, but you pinch yourself off pretty good. And then you blame your mother. You see, it's her fault for being that way, because we're trying to be kind, but not really. I don't have the discipline to love you anyway, because I've learned conditional response, conditional reaction. Whew. This is so powerful. This will free you from all bondage of all people. And here's another thing that's important to know. No one came here to be a changing condition so that you can feel better. And so those people that are very pliable and very lovable and very moldable, who seem to be willing to stand on their head to please you, or to save themselves from the trouble that you will give them if you're not pleased, they really don't do a service for you, because they teach you to expect conditions to change so that you can feel better. So you become more and more tyrannical and more demanding, and gather together in larger and larger groups in order to try to make that segment of the population behave in a way that makes you feel better. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. Your only freedom is in discovering the power and leverage and deliciousness of alignment. And once you accomplish that, then it's easy. You know how when you're feeling good, really feeling good, how much easier it is to just let those things go. And when you're not feeling good, everything about it really bothers you. Well, you can do something about your shock absorbers. When you're in alignment, you've got great shock absorbers, and then the others, they don't hinder you so much.
So the work is in remaining up there and not joining her down here.
Yeah, that's what step 3 and 4 are. Step 3 and 4 and 5, really 3, feeling good anyway. And step 4, getting really good at it, to the point that you're even appreciating her for the practice that she requires of you. I love you so much, Mom, because if it weren't for you, I'd be expecting everybody to just behave in a way that I feel better. And you're not the only one in my world who won't behave just because I need them to.
So it's emotional Olympics.
Getting really good at that. That's what step 4 is, the mastery of alignment. And then step 5, that's when it really gets fun. Step 5 is when you dip back. You can look back at contrast, but it doesn't upset you. Oh, that's just Mom. That's just how she usually is, and it doesn't bother me anymore, because it doesn't disempower me anymore, because I don't let my attention upon her take away my clarity, my alignment, my vitality, my humor, my fun.
Thank you very much.
Really good. It does feel good to figure this out, doesn't it?